Britain is a big nation which is occupied by varieties of people. The people living in UK, however, come from different ethnics. Starting from the native Briton to other ethnic groups of different countries, for instance, the French, Spanish, Portuguese, Polish, and many others. This condition is presumably caused by the historical background that British Isles were once colonized by some European countries in the past time. For there are many different ethnics living in Britain, it results in the languages spoken in the Isle. If a question raises, what is the language mostly spoken in Britain? The answer will be obvious, yep, English. Then the second question is, despite English, what is the second language mostly spoken in Britain? Well, according to the 2011 census, among language varieties in Britain, the second language spoken is surprisingly Polish. Polish has catapulted into the negation country's second language after English and, in Wales, Welsh. Why does Polish become the second language mostly spoken in Britain? Immigration is considered as the main factor influencing Polish as the second language mostly spoken in Britain. Since the end of the Second World War in 1945, immigration has become an issue of increasing public and political concern in Britain. People have been migrating to and from Britain for centuries, and as long as this has been so, native and immigrant have been constantly reviewing their mutual relations.
100 different foreign languages are spoken by those living in England and Wales. That's according to newly published census results, and the largest among them is Polish.
In the last decade, hundreds of thousands of people have migrated here from Poland and created large communities in cities such as Southampton. Tim Muffet has been there to find out why so many Poles now call the UK their home.
A decade ago, you rarely heard this in the UK. But much can change in a decade, as Agnes Dubowska will testify. 10 years ago, did you know about Southampton?
No, I didn't. No, we joined friends who came here before us, so they just say, well, you can come over to us, we'll help you to settle in and find a job, and that's how it started, really.
As manager of this specialist insurance firm, Agnes tries to generate business from Southampton's Polish community. It's one of the UK's largest. The City Council has estimated it's around 20,000 strong, 1 in 10 of the total population. Why is the UK such a popular destination for Poles?
I think it's because it's much easier with work and standard of living we can get, and even the minimum wage you can still live and get things that you cannot get in Poland.
And this week we learned that England's second most spoken language, and Wales' third, is now this.
It's a kind of surprise, it's second most known language in UK, but bearing in mind it's so many of us. All my friends, most of my family, they live in UK, so this is my home now.
Polish immigration to the UK peaked in 2007, when, in 12 months, 96,000 Polish citizens moved here. As the financial crisis kicked in 2008, those numbers dropped significantly. In 2009, the number fell to 39,000. The UK was apparently losing its appeal. But even so, between 2003 and 2010, the UK's Polish population went from 75,000 to 532,000.
Witam serdecznie, z tej strony kłania się Tomasz Dyl.
Thomas Dill hopes his magazine will appeal to as many of them as possible.
It is an experience that I think I would never have got it in Poland, being able to have our own business, running a newspaper.
I mean, why do you think that Southampton's become such a magnet for the country?
I believe it's due to the sort of the whole ports and the factories and everything around Southampton. Polish will be able to find jobs even though they don't speak much English.
Do you think that some Polish people, they moved here, they moved back, and then they have decided to move back into the UK?
It is the case, yes. Going back home, sort of hoping that they can find jobs, but there isn't a job there. So they just wanted to come back and being able to go back to the same life as they had 6 or 7 years ago.
In the UK?
In the UK, yeah.
The Polish immigration story is an extraordinary one. Its impact can be both seen and heard. Tim Muffet, BBC News.
Are the British okay with that? There are strong arguments and strong feeling on both sides.
Polish is now the second language in the UK. Will we need to revise this to Bulgarian or Romanian next year?
Yes, this figure came out that nearly 500,000 people in England, in Britain I should say, now speak Polish, and the number of people learning French and German is falling. The number of people learning Polish is going up. Alan Johnson, how do you interpret this? And obviously the questions about Bulgarian and Romanian immigration next year.
Poland's a much bigger country, and I think I've got lots of Polish friends. There has to be a second language. I think Welsh is actually, if you take England and Wales, and Poland comes first. And anyone could speak, comes second. Anyone could speak Polish. Deserves my full admiration, because it's a very difficult language to speak. Will this happen with Romania and Bulgaria? And this is the issue, I think, about January 2014. You know, if I was the EU Commission, I would seek to find a way to put that decision back by 4 or 5 years. And I tell you why. It's not about an issue of being anti-immigrant. My concern is that if they lift that restriction, then Romania will lose a lot of, and Bulgaria will lose a lot of their finest talent. I would like to see in the European Union some kind of GDP measure that says once you've reached that GDP measure, once your country is at a certain level of prosperity, that's when free movement kicks in. Because if you do that, you can ensure that countries coming into the European Union, who by definition are usually much poorer and take time, that's why there's 7 years, one of the reasons why there's 7 years is there, that there's actually a chance to extend that for the sake of that country as well. I think in terms of what happened with the Polish population coming here, history is being rewritten. In 2004-05, I was a minister at the time. We had a highest rate of employment ever known in this country, and we had 600,000 vacancies. The reason why us, Sweden and Ireland all lifted that restriction early is because our economy and our employers told us it was necessary to do that. Yes, it's right, more people came than was expected. That won't happen.
Ed Miliband said it was a mistake. You don't think it was a mistake?
That won't happen this time.
Do you think it was a mistake or not?
I don't think. I disagree with Ed in terms of, I think in hindsight, you would have a better grasp of the numbers. If you knew that many number was coming, then you'd look at it again.
All right. Dom Jolly, we have to be rather swift here because we're coming towards the end.
I mean, I sort of get what this question is basically about, is, you know, are we going to allow people to come into this country? And people, there seems to be there was something sort of a bit pernicious about saying, oh, Polish is suddenly the second biggest language. I mean, I have a problem, I think, with sort of ghettoisation, if people come in and don't learn English and kind of don't assimilate. But to me, Polish is, I mean, the most complicated language in the world, as far as I can see, so anyone can speak it, fantastic. But I think most Poles speak English anyway, so I don't see it as a particular problem. I hope there will be possibly slightly more control on Romanian and Bulgarian coming in, because I think I have no problem with people coming in who are actually going to work, but I think if people are coming in supposedly to sponge off us or whatever, then I think maybe there should be some more controls. But
do you think it would be possible, Saeed Avasi, to have controls of the kind Alan Johnson just suggested, that the European Union might itself temper the pace of immigration? Is that on the cards?
It's the kind of...
Apart from some arguments to the phenomenon of Polish as the second language mostly spoken in Britain, Polish language is so far mostly spoken by the Polish, not the native Brits. However, concerning to the mass migration of the Polish to British Isles, it is possible that Polish language might be learned by the Brits and gradually becomes an official language in Britain. Well, that truly depends. The position of Polish as the second language mostly spoken in Britain might be replaced by other languages, regardless of what country which contributes immigration in Britain at the most. Foreign languages, however, cannot replace the position of the native language as the first language mostly spoken in such area. This would possibly happen if only the country was colonized. All in all, using Polish as the second language mostly spoken in Britain as the object of this project is merely to show how a foreign language can be widely spoken in the non-native area apart from where the language is from, apart